You're watching Mavericks Today. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein here. Coop, it was a bit of a stressful one last night for the Dallas Mavericks, but ultimately they got it done. And I think we should start with Luka Doncic here, as he had arguably the worst shooting game of his career, much less just this season, but still ends up with the triple-double, 18, 10, and 16 assists. 6 for 27 from the field, 2 for 12 from 3, and as you pointed out before the show, he started 2 for 2 from the field.
Yeah, it was
bizarre.
Yeah, exactly. It was a very bizarre game. You look at the shooting numbers and you're like, wow, Luka had a terrible game. Not really the case. I mean, yes, he was obviously terrible shooting. I think he has shot less than 20% 4 times in his career. This is by far the worst game of the season for him, but outside of the shooting, he was really pretty good. He had 11 assists in the first half alone, and then he got his 10 rebounds as well. So he still got the triple-double. He was impacting the game positively outside of the shooting. So, yeah, he had a bad game, but he really didn't have a bad game.
Well, I think it really just goes to show why he is generational, superstar, whatever word you want to use, because even on rare games like this where he just can't buy a bucket, he can still have an overall net positive impact on the game. He can get others involved with his passing. He can still get involved defensively, grab some rebounds, which he was able to do all of that. And most importantly, Coop, and he said this after the game, this was not a game they would have won last year. And I think he's pointing to the fact that, A, he's just simply got more help right now because Kyrie Irving was able to close things out. You got guys like Dante Exum stepping up. I'm sure we'll talk about him here. Much needed win. Could not afford to lose this one to San Antonio. Now you obviously shift to 2 big games against Utah, which we'll discuss here in a little bit. But this is why you bring in Kyrie, man, because Luka's not going to have his A-plus game every night.
Right.
And when Kyrie's sitting there and can go 13 for 21 from the field, even without making a 3, that certainly can help.
Yeah, Kyrie was fantastic down the stretch. He got a lot of the Mavs' big buckets alongside Dante Exum, who we'll talk about in just a second. And this is exactly why you bring in a guy like Kyrie Irving. I think Derek Harper actually said it perfectly on the broadcast. You bring him in for moments like this where Luka doesn't have it that night, so you have to have another guy who does. And it seems like whenever the slack needs to be picked up, it's from Kyrie. So kudos to Kyrie as well. And again, he's doing this during Ramadan. And Brian Damaris made a good point on the radio broadcast. Apparently, the Mavericks flew in Kyrie Irving's personal chef to keep him properly nutritioned during these times as well. So the Mavericks are taking care of their own, and Kyrie's repaying them by giving him these performances.
Yeah, he's playing really well. He's been playing well since he came back from the injury, which probably, about 20 games now. He's been able to play without any setbacks, so that's been nice. And, again, every game is critical right now, especially against clearly inferior opponents. You knew the Spurs were going to come out and play hard.
Yep.
Like, they'd like nothing more than to play spoiler, and obviously they're trying to build something down there.
They're playing better.
So they're not going to actively tank or anything like that.
Yeah, and quick tangent on the Spurs. I actually do think they're going to be a pretty good team here in the quick future, obviously, with Wembanyama, and they have a couple pieces that are good. This was not an easy game for the Mavericks to play, and like Luka said, it's probably not a game they even win last year at all. So credit to the team and credit for keeping them.
Can we point out that Derek Lively has kind of gotten the better of Wemby a couple times now?
He has, yeah. Wemby wasn't good from the field last night at all, and Lively, the combination of Lively and Gafford and then Maxi in the fourth quarter really kind of made Victor struggle. And in the fourth quarter, Victor wasn't even going to the hole or posting up. He was just jacking up threes. So the Mavs made him uncomfortable.
And I don't say that to say Lively's better than Wemby. He's clearly
not.
Wemby's unbelievable, and they're not even matched up on each other all the time when they're both on the court. I just think it's kind of interesting that the few times they've played each other, Lively has seemingly had a bigger impact. What do you guys think? Will the Mavericks avoid the play-in tournament? They're half a game back of the number 6 seed right now. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Get your thoughts down in the comment section below.
And a quick point on that as well. The Mavericks are 14-6 in their last 20. And they have lost ground on the New Orleans Pelicans, who sit in the 5th seed. That's just how crazy the West is right now.
They've been scorching right now. Let us know what you guys think. We talked yesterday, Coop, about who's that number 3 scorer going to be. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be Dante Exum, but listen, when he's been healthy this year, he's been damn good. He's shooting like 56% from the field. I think he's around 50% now from 3.
He's exactly 50% for 3. He's 40 of 80 on the season from 3.
Small volume, I get it, but if you told me, and sure, it was frustrating how long he was out and all that, I get it. But for how little money they paid this guy, if you told us you would get this level of play out of him, I don't think anybody on the planet would believe you.
Yeah, you'd be happy. He's an important player for this team right now. He is the third ball handler, and he's a guy now that his minute restriction is lifted and he can kind of play as many minutes.
He might close out games.
Exactly, as Jason Kidd wants him to. He closed out the game against San Antonio, didn't close out the game against Denver, so I think Kidd's still trying to figure that out, but he's been super important for this team. The Mavericks have him non-guaranteed next year, by the way, too, for just over $3 million.
You can lock that in.
Yes, you can lock him in as a member of the roster next year. Great find by Nico Harrison there in free agency, and hopefully Dante can keep on giving him these performances, again, especially when Luka doesn't have it.
And good for Exum as well. If he keeps playing like this into next season, he's going to find a pretty decent payday, I think, in the future, as he's still a pretty young player. Let's talk about Factor meals and the present here. Listen, it's fun to cook occasionally, I get that, but who has time to go to the grocery store multiple times per week, prepare meals every single day, spend hours of your day, your week doing all of that? I know I don't, and I know a lot of you don't either. That's where Factor comes into play. Their fresh, never frozen meals will be delivered straight to your doorstep. They're already prepared by their chefs. And then on your end, it only takes you 2 minutes to prepare. Throw them in the microwave. Some of them, you don't even need a microwave to get their meals ready, salad toppers, protein shakes, etc. Delicious, healthy options available for you. No prep, no messy meals. Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. And that's an underrated part, too. It's like you have to clean up afterwards when you do all that cooking and that preparing, and it just takes more time. After you eat, you just want to, chill the rest of the night. Well, with Factor, you eat it, or you prep it in 2 minutes, you eat it, and then you just, you throw the box in the trash. There's nothing complicated about it. Different options depending on what you're going for with your diet. Go check them out. Factormeals.com/MavsChat50 gets you 50% off. That's Factormeals.com/MavsChat50. That link is in the comments and in the description. Check it out today. Factormeals.com/MavsChat50. Talk about Maxi Kleber here, Coop. He's not shooting the ball much, but I did think last night, I want to give credit where it's due, Kidd went back to him in the closing minutes, and he did have a good impact defensively. So clearly the Mavs are still placing their trust in him. At times it's frustrating. At times it pays off. Last night I think it definitely paid off. So
and I think he earned closing last night given the way how he played against Denver down the stretch there as well. And he absolutely was the best matchup against Victor Wembanyama if you're picking between Lively, Gafford, and Maxi. Maxi is the guy that can step out to the three and guard him the most probably, and he did a good job on him, so kudos to Maxi there. I would love to see him just let it fly a little bit more. I know he has zero confidence in his shot right now, but the one he took, it looked good and he made it. There were a couple of wide open threes that he just passed up because he's not feeling himself from three-point range, so hopefully he can find that. Kind of reminds me of what happened there in the 22 season when the Mavs made the conference finals. Maxi went ice cold down the stretch, and then once the playoff came, he shot like 43% from three in the playoffs.
It's kind of just who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
At times he's unconscious from threes, and then there's other times, kind of like right now, he's so unconfident, he just refuses to shoot. So it's like he's kind of just hot and cold like that. There's never really an in-between for him. So hopefully he can figure out the offensive stuff down the stretch.
And then another guy that closed the game last night who didn't close against Denver is P.J. Washington. So Kid's still trying to figure out who his five is down the stretch. We know it's Luka and Kyrie. I think we know it's Maxi Kleber at this point. So you're looking at the other two spots. Is it Exum? Is it Washington? Is it Gafford? Is it Hardaway? I don't think he knows.
And look, it might just be a opponent-dependent thing, a flow of the game-dependent thing. Because I do think, it's twofold, right? You should have a five that's kind of like your default that you like. But great coaches have to feel out the game as well.
Absolutely.
And I think Kid's been better about that this year. I think that was a major problem last year. He could never figure it out with Christian Wood, who, look, as time's gone on, I think the Christian Wood thing is
we know who won that battle.
Kind of shown out what it is. But there were still times, I still go back to opening night last year, where the guy can't miss and you're just taking him out of the game in crunch time. I thought that was a mistake. But yeah, I mean, you probably got 8 or so players, Coop, that on any given night could be in that final five, and it's up to Jason Kidd to feel out the situation, determine the matchups based on the opponent they're playing, and that's what the great coaches do. So hopefully he's able to do that. We like to think we're a great Mavericks YouTube channel.
We are.
And if you agree, hit the subscribe button. We got you covered. leading up to the playoffs, throughout the playoffs, and hopefully it is a deep run just like it was a couple of years
Let's
ago.
play past Mother's Day. How about that?
Yeah, I'm in. I could use another Mother's Day massacre. I don't think it would be against the Lakers in round 2.
It would not.
That's not possible at this point, but who knows? Maybe it's against the Clippers, the other team in Los Angeles. Who the heck knows? All right, Daniel Gafford. We mentioned this yesterday, Coop. The combination of Gafford and Lively continues to be really productive. They combined for 25 and 13. They both went 5 for 7 from the floor. Like, if you're getting that kind of combined production, that's like, if you put that together for one center, that's like all-pro center numbers. Now, obviously, neither of these guys are an all-pro, but if they're going to combine to give you 40-plus minutes and 20-plus points and 10-plus rebounds consistently at an efficient clip and also rebound and block shots, yeah, I mean, I can get down with that pretty easily.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Luka gets these guys such easy looks around the rim, and to their credit, they are finishing them at an extremely high clip. Gafford obviously leading the NBA in field goal percentage right now.
Almost caught Wilt Chamberlain. It was unfortunate.
It was close.
He didn't get that. But.
And Lively not too far behind as well. So these guys have been great for the Mavs. And where I think Jason Kidd deserves a lot of credit is, especially on these out of timeouts and out of bounds plays, over the last couple of weeks, he's been fantastic. He is finding Gafford and Lively open shots basically every single time out of those. So I think the credit also goes to Jason Kidd, including these two guys, for how well they're playing. But if these guys continue to play the way that they are, I think the Mavs are going to be a force to be reckoned with here.
Yeah, I completely agree. So big win last night. It's nice to win a game on the road when your best player goes 6 for 27 from the field. I feel very confident in saying he will not have another 6 for 27 game. Doesn't mean he's not going to have poor game shooting, but that was kind of an outlier when it comes to Luka Doncic.
What a brutal time for the Mavericks to schedule a game right during March Madness tomorrow night. But
yeah, it's tough.
We'll still have you updated.
We'll have eyeballs on that, and I'm sure we'll discuss it on Friday as well. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I am Harrison Graham. Take care. Enjoy the off day for the Mavericks, and then back in action tomorrow night against Utah.